I'm the Unicorn with you until 6 o'clock this evening. And right now, we are going to be joined by a man who has green fingers in abundance. His name is Eddie Stevens. Hello, Eddie. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And you, Richard?
I'm well, thank you very much. Now, why are we going to speak to Eddie? Well, for starters, Eddie owns a company that takes care of gardens, Four Seasons Garden and Landscaping Services, and he's right here in the Valley. He's also a proud member of the False Bay Business Network, and it's a network of businesses who work one with the other and in the best interests of the community. You've been with how long have you been with the business network, Eddie?
8 years now.
It's a while, eh?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Many will say you've aged over that time, but that's just some people's opinions. And
well, that's par for the course, eh?
All right, Eddie, you focus on gardening and landscaping. And before we go into what the services are that you offer, have you been affected by the lockdown?
Like anybody else, Richard, really. It's been a bit rough. 2 months with zero income and a staff complement that one has to look after. It hasn't been easy. I'll say that much. We've survived. I've not had to let my staff go, which unfortunately some other businesses had to do. They've hung in there with me. They've not earned their full salary for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But they weren't without anything either. So we were okay. And we started officially again as from Monday. So yeah, hopefully back in full swing in about a week or so.
So you can go ahead and deliver your service to your regular clients. I'm pretty sure there's a queue and backing up to have you come in now, because they've also been without your services for this period of time.
Absolutely, yes. So we're legally allowed as of level 3. However, I did manage to get a essential services permit just a week before level 3 opened up, and I used that week just to get all the necessary PPE and protocols in place, and we did a few gardens here and there just to get the guys back into the swing of things again, so like I say, we officially started on Monday.
Okay, so from the point of view of going out, and it's not business as usual for anybody in these times. I mean, the way that you do things, not what you do, but the way that you do it is certainly going to change. From a PPE point of view and that type of thing, what can your clients expect, and what is expected of you?
Okay, well, look, obviously, sanitization is number one priority. To either a mask or a face shield. We've opted for the face shield because of the nature of the work that we do. It gets blisteringly hot on days. Even now in autumn, the sun on you all the time can get very, very hot and very uncomfortable for the guys working with a mask on. So we've opted for the mask, the shield. It's also something to adjust to. You've got this foreign thing sitting on your head, and it's a few inches from your face. And you're maneuvering in between trees, cutting branches and stuff, and then it gets knocked off, and that type of thing. So it's an adjustment. I certainly hope we don't have to work this way going forward, because it's not going to be very easy.
All right. So from a point of view of services that you offer, let's focus on your business and what it is that you do. If it's gardening and landscaping is quite a broad kind of statement, because that involves so many sort of departments, doesn't it? Do you want to go through those with us?
Yeah, sure. Okay, look, your garden services standard really is the maintenance of gardens. That would involve your regular grass cutting and trimming, your pruning of hedges and shrubs, tidying up of your beds, your flower beds, de-weeding and that type of thing. Where things get a little bit more intricate is when you start looking at tree felling and removal of trees and stuff like that. that falls out of the scope of a standard garden service. Then we move on to landscaping. Landscaping is the installation and or design of a new garden. And that can take on various things, from laying down pathways to installing ponds, from ponds to installing fences, from fences to building little rock walls and retainer walls and stuff like that. So it's a very vast and very varied field, you know. And we initially, the business started out in 2003, and I bought the business 8 years ago, and it was purely a garden service up at that point when I purchased it. And then 5 years ago, we decided to venture out and venture into the landscaping side, which has been very successful for us as an add-on business, you know. And yeah, it's a case of, you want something done in your garden, give me a call. I come out and I see things you don't. I take into account, where do you want this tree? What tree is this? What is the root system? Where you're going to place this? Where's the wind come from? Where do you get your sun? You know, where's the winter sun? Where's the summer sun? You know, things like that. Sometimes people just think, you know, oh, it's a 5-minute job, until they really see how 4 guys tackle a job and can take 2 hours, you know. So
it's not just that physical job that fascinates us. It's not just that physical job, the execution of that job, but it's almost like garden architecture and design, isn't it? I mean, you've got a piece of ground
absolutely
that you've got to look at and try and get. I mean, you've got a client with a vision. You've got possibly another view on it based on the things that you said, like the tree may grow under the house, or it's going to fracture the swimming pool, or you know,
exactly.
All of that type of stuff is. Now, when you quote on a job like that, do you quote on design as one aspect and execution as another? Is it a global kind of quote, so that people can understand, listen, I want to landscape my garden. I'm going to get Eddie in from Four Seasons Gardening and Landscaping to give me a plan. Is that like one type of service, or is it all a combined thing?
No. In my business, my particular business, I do not charge for quoting. I do not charge for design at all, because at the end of the day, I can come with an idea, you come with an idea. It's not my garden, it's your garden at the end of the day. I have to advise accordingly. I've got to let you know what's going to work and what's not going to work, you know. So when it comes to designing a garden, I will go in, you tell me, you give me your idea. And a garden is a personality. It's an extension of someone's personality. I've got to sum all of that up in the time that I meet with you, you know. I've got to find out a few pertinent things about you. Are you an entertainer? This type of thing. Because all of that is going to affect where we place things, how we place things, you know. And again, a customer may want a particular tree, and I've got to say, sorry, that's not going to work. It's not going to work there for this reason, that reason, that reason, you know. I'd suggest rather use this one, you know. So it's a case of sharing information with the client. But if a client does not choose to go with us, that's just how it is, you know. We offer that as a service. We do not, there are other companies out there that will charge you for design and for coming out to quote and that, but we don't.
Okay, so that's something good. I mean, that's almost like that entices people to want to deal with you, because, as you say, others may be charging for that. Let's just go back to the normal gardening service. Are there different categories, Eddie? I mean, for argument's sake, I could say to you, listen, all I want you to do at my house is I just want you to come and trim the edges of my lawn. Or I want you to come to my house and I would like to potter with my own lawn. All I want you to do is weed the garden beds, or that type of stuff. Is it, again, I'm asking if there's separate categories upon which you quote, or is it also that you get a garden service, you pay $10 a month or whatever the number is, and you get all these things and the facilities available. If you don't use it, you lose it, kind of thing?
Well, okay. It's very simple. It's a case of, let's say for argument's sake, you call me and I come ask you a few questions. One, what is it that you want done, right? You take me through your garden, you show me what all you want done and that type of thing. And then based upon that, I will tell you, okay, hang on. You tell me, okay, I think you perhaps want me to be in your garden, say, once a week. I look at your garden and I say to you, sorry, I don't see us being here once a week. I'm going to take your money and I'm going to waste time. I see your garden as being once a month, maybe, or once every 2 weeks, because I can ascertain from the workload how much time we are going to spend on a property. It's all time based because we work by appointments. We don't just rock up. We're not ad hoc, so everything works by appointment. So it's a case of what you want done. If you just want me there to cut grass, then I quote accordingly based on the time that we are going to be in your garden.
Yeah, because it could be a small piece of grass or it can be a massive piece of grass. And again, time is the issue.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly, yes.
Strangest thing that you've ever been asked to do in a garden?
Sure. Oh, my hat. Now you put me on the spot there. I can't remember one offhand, but when we first started out with the business, I'll share a funny story with you. When we first started out with the business, my staff don't necessarily know the names of all the clients, right?
Yeah.
But there are things that happen on a property, or there are things that clients do or say that they remember. So we will often remember and say, listen, do you remember that client that did this or did that? Yes, they know where it is. That's where we go to. So we went to this one client to do a quote. And she was an elderly lady, and she was walking around the garden, but she suffered from severe flatulence. And I had to keep a straight face. My staff was standing there, and every time she spoke, and she just dropped a dart, and then my guys would turn around, and look into the tree, stuff like that. And when next we needed to go to that property, I reminded my staff, do you remember that lady that went, that lady? Yes, they remember exactly where that is. And that's how they remember things. Yeah. So some clients have names that based on what they do and how they do things. So yeah.
So somewhere out there, everybody's got a nickname. That only you and your staff know.
That only they know. Yes.
Only they know. Eddie, from the point of view of plants and the like. Now it comes back to the name of your business, which I think we need to expand on. It is 4 seasons. People kind of feel that gardens in winter, they kind of go to pieces, and then you work right throughout the year, don't you?
I do. Yes, I do. Winter is actually my busiest time, funnily enough. There are other guys in the valley that they end up going on to short time, usually in winter, because things quieten down and that. I have yet to have that happen to me. The one thing I choose not to do is work when it rains. It doesn't help me exposing my staff to getting ill unnecessarily. It doesn't help me destroying my equipment in order to do a garden. It's a garden. It can happen again tomorrow. So winter for me, we work when we can, but winter really generally has always been very busy for me. As to what gets done in gardens over the winter period, it just depends. Some people change their gardens in the winter to suit the season. So we accommodate accordingly. Some you may be living next door to someone who's got the exact same size garden as yours, has got the same grass as you do, yet yours only needs to be cut once a month and his needs to be cut every week. It's the soil, it's not rocket science. It is what it is, and vice versa. So we apply accordingly as to what needs to be done over the winter periods.
Okay, so you're there all 12 months of the year, and you can work in any season. I'm going to look at some of the legality here quickly. you're going onto somebody's property with the people, with machinery. Sometimes you maybe chopping a tree down. Do you carry all the necessary sort of liabilities, business liabilities, so if the tree
Oh
falls
yes,
on the roof and all that, so just people know that there's that kind of protection?
absolutely, absolutely. We are fully insured for that. We've got liability insurance for cases like that. That's never happened to us in the 8 years. But you can't operate on the never. There's always a first time, But yes, we are fully insured for that. So there's no hassles, no worries. You can comfortably employ us to do what needs to be done.
Okay, now the scope of your footprint in the valley, sort of where your boundaries, as it were. If anybody's listening to us, for argument's sake, now over the mountain to Kai, are you going to go there, or do you just restrict yourself to?
I've got a handful of clients in the Steenberg estate. I do a few clients out in Kai and Constantia. I try and keep that small for the simple reason, logistics. It's a long schlep to drive out there and then still come back to the valley to see two clients this side. So I tend to keep those particular clients on a particular day. It makes it easier for me. But I would say the furthest that I am prepared to go would be Constantia. Muizenberg, yes. Lakeside, I don't have any clients there.
But you would go there?
Ad hoc clients. Yes, but I won't go really further than that.
Okay.
It just becomes unmanageable. But then right up to Cape Point and everything, Noordhoek, everything in between, I won't go over to Hout Bay. That's out of reach. It's totally out of reach. So the entire valley, Scarborough, Kommetjie, you name it, all of that in between we do.
Okay, I've got a couple more questions. The other one is that we're talking now in the main about domestic gardens, about, my house, that guy's house, the next door neighbor, and that type of stuff. But there are a lot of complexes that are industrial complexes that also have, you do those kind of complexes as well?
I steer away from the complexes in that it's normally run by a body corporate, and they've got X amount of budget, and 9 times out of 10 it's a case of I take the work on just to have the turnover, but I make no money out of it. So I walk away from business like that. Also, the expectation is quite great in that when they've got you on site, it's not just the gardens they want you to do. They want you to attend to their bins and cleaning of their bins and all that type of stuff. And that falls out of the scope of what we do. So I choose not to chase money. I choose to stick to core business. It's healthier. It's more focused and far more profitable that way for me. So I don't do any complexes at all. It's time consuming, and again, like I say, sometimes it actually costs you money.
And business premises?
Chasing turnover. I operate from home.
No, not your business premises. I'm talking about, would you go and do like?
You're talking commercial.
Yeah.
Commercial. Yeah. I have a few commercial clients, yes, that I do. And that's just to maintain the entrance ways and that to their business premises, which I do on a monthly basis. So yeah.
Okay, I have 2 more questions right now for you. There are, in any business transaction or any business relationship, there are things that people respond to, and then there are things that people get irritated by. Now, I like to ask businesses, what is it when dealing with a client, you a line beyond which you won't go? In other words, something that would irritate you sufficiently enough to say, listen, I don't want to do business with a person like this, or that type of thing, like you mentioned now about the complexes.
Okay, one thing, you called me for a reason. You've called me because you want me to quote on something to be done. When I get there and I look at what needs to be done, and I tell you, look, it's going to cost this much and that much, and you proceed to tell me what it's supposed to cost. You proceed to tell me how to go about doing the work. Then why did you call me in the first place? Why don't you do the work yourself?
Yes.
It's case in point. I went and did a client yesterday, and he haggled with me over price, and I came down a bit. He then accepted the price, and he said to me, "But it can't take you that long. It took us 3 hours because we had to take trees out of the ground." When he saw just what we do and how we do it, the man was over the moon. He was absolutely over the moon. And I said to him, "And you told me you only need 2 guys." And I said to him, "Now you can see just how intricate it is, just how difficult it actually is to do what we do. But to give you the desired result, it takes people with knowledge." And I said to him, "We know what we are doing. I know exactly how long it's going to take. I know exactly what it entails, and that's why you called me." So it's very difficult dealing with people who think they know than actually dealing with people who actually know. So would you rather fly with someone who thinks he knows how to fly a plane than fly with someone who knows how to fly a plane?
Well, I think we all know the answer to that one, and it's a question that is important to be asked, because it boils down to this: if you're going to call someone for their expertise, then lean on their expertise rather than argue with them about their expertise, and you make a valid point.
Right.
My final question, Eddie, sorry, carry on.
No, and I was saying 9 times out of 10, when you get to a client like that, you're going to have hassles going forward.
Yeah.
You're going to have hums and ahs, and then when it comes to payment, then you're going to have hassles. And it's a personality thing. You pick it up straight away, and I prefer to turn around and walk away. Okay. There's no loss to me that way. There's no loss. There's no reason for me to get angry or upset or anything like that. We met. Nice to have met you. Thank you. I think you need to find someone else. And it's not from an arrogant standpoint at all. It's from a profitable perspective. People don't realize that the moment you put your key in the ignition, it costs you money. Yeah. The moment I start, and this is the big haggle particularly with cutting down trees, is a chainsaw. The moment I start that chainsaw up, it costs me an enormous amount of money. And go and hire a chainsaw and see what that's going to cost you. It's an arm and a leg, and try and cut a tree. If you've never ever cut a tree in your life with a chainsaw, I challenge you, go and do it. You will see what it's all about.
Look, if you've never cut a tree, I would suggest you just don't even try, because I had a tree removed from a property that I lived on here, a property we owned in the Komiki. And it was one of those big fir trees that I don't know if it's called a conifer, but it's one of those big, looked like
a conifer, yes.
Huge thing. It was 2 stories high.
Yes.
And it started to die, and it needed to be removed. And man alive, the guys came there and they said, "It's going to cost you so much." And I thought, wow, you want to chop a tree down, and then I saw them go to work, and I realized that it was cheaper to price. So, Eddie, the last question I have, Eddie, is for people now with the gardens, looking at their gardens, and like this time of the year, what's the best advice you can give people?
Well, again, winter sun is a major factor, particularly on lawns and that type of thing. We all have our properties bordered with trees and that, and we don't consider what happens in winter. Winter, the sun moves 25 degrees more north, and it then casts a huge shadow on your grass and your flower beds. And grass tends to get waterlogged and or die, and grass can actually drown when it gets too much water. The best thing you can do is keep the heights of those trees locked. Keep your trees neatly trimmed, and it will benefit you in the long run anyway. You run less of a risk of branches breaking off and trees coming down in high winds over the winter season when you maintain your trees regularly. So that's about the best advice I can give for winter gardens right now.
Yeah, and that leads to house damage, car damage, animal damage, people damage.
Big stuff, yes.
It's not.
And then you've got insurance headaches after that as well.
Yeah. That's good advice, Eddie. Thank you very much. Okay, so folks, you can get hold of Eddie, and is it okay if I give your mobile number, Eddie?
You may go ahead.
Okay, Eddie's mobile number, correct me if I'm wrong, is 082-858-0329. Is that correct?
No, 3029.
Sorry, that's my eyesight. That's not. Okay, let me go. And I was just checking to see that you're awake, Eddie. 082-858-3029. That is the number. And you can also email him. But I'm going to suggest this, folks. He is, as I say, a member of the False Bay Business Network. And what you need to do is you can go to the False Bay Business Network website, and you can look for Four Seasons Gardening and Landscaping Services. And that website is simply fbn.co.za. That would probably be the best way for people to connect with you, Eddie.
Absolutely fine that way. Probably the easiest, because we're a one-stop business network. You may need some other services.
Yeah, the other stuff. There's other stuff there. Yeah.
For sure.
All right, Eddie. Thank you so much for spending time with us this afternoon and sharing your expertise. If people want to get hold of you, they can go that route, and I certainly hope that going forward, things do pick up for you, given the fact that you've literally everybody has taken a knock. And these discussions that we are having with businesses, folks, on the Drive Zone on Zone Radio, have to do with that sort of post-COVID kickstart, as we call it. And there's a series of them, and we'll be doing others also from the False Bay Business Network, and letting people tell you about the business. But the purpose of it all is so that you can get to know the people behind the business, get to know what their offering is, get to know what they're all about, and hopefully make use of their services and keep it local. That's the idea behind it all. And we certainly hope that you will do that with Eddie and others that you hear mentioned here on Zone Radio 88.5. The series that we are doing is called the Deep South Post-COVID-19 Business Kickstart Series. There we go. It's a mouthful, but it means something. Eddie, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Richard, thank you too for hosting and for inviting me onto the show. Much appreciated.
You're very, very welcome. And I'm going to be a little kitsch here. I'm going to play out with Tom Jones and the green grass of home. Take it easy, Eddie, and good luck going forward.
Thank you, Richard. Stay well.
Bye.
Cheers, Bye now.